The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by Boar's Head, premium meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the BankPlus Studio.
This is Out of Order.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
Good morning on a Max Effort Monday. We hope that you're locked in. We are. Even Blake Mania says he's going to give it this Monday. We'll see. We got 3 hours as we take off and see where this crazy Monday leads us on the Out of Bounds Show. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Amazing weekend of football. I know I say that every weekend, but man, college and NFL did not disappoint. Oh, the storylines. Some people, coffee tastes great this morning. Others, tastes like rat poison. Good morning. Welcome in. We're powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook, an award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. We'll be there Friday morning. Tell you more about that as the week unfolds. DancingRabbitGolf.com. Pretty sure we'll be in the sports book, but you never know. It may put us on the back patio of the clubhouse. Either way, we'll bring it. That's for sure. They know that we will be the, out of the 10 or so sports talk radio shows that they'll host this fall, they know who the big dog is. They know number one's coming to town. We had to wait and let it breathe. So we'll be there live from Pearl River Resort this Friday. Looking forward to that. Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook, Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, and Philip M's, the old-style Vegas steakhouse. Blake said he's going to do his house, decorate his house just like Philip M's. And that red and that black and that white from like Frank Sinatra days, Vegas. All right, so we're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. You can hit us up on the Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line. 601-707-3750. Twitter handle at BoBounds. And the text line is right there for you. Your reaction to the weekend. Give it to us in 5 seconds or less. 601-885-3776. 885-3776. Brought to you by AgUp.com, Mississippi Ag, and your next John Deere tractor. So, Blake and I both had a better weekend than Ed Orgeron. And
or Nick Saban.
Yeah, or Nick Saban. Matt Corral and Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss played just a wild game where neither team played defense. And it was an offensive explosion in Vaught Hemingway at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning, and it was back and forth throughout the afternoon. As all of you know, Arkansas missed the 2-point conversion. Ole Miss with the win. And, Ole Miss just had explosive play after explosive play after explosive play. Sanders had a 68-yard catch. Drummond had a 67-yard catch. Snoop had a 51-yard run. And Matt Corral did what he wanted, both on the ground, throwing up 94 yards, and through the air, of course, for two. Felt like he threw for more than 287, didn't it, with the bombs? The one thing that Arkansas, they made it hard in those short and intermediate areas, but eventually the receivers broke free, and Ole Miss was able to flip the field or have 2-3 huge touchdowns, long ones. And, hey, it's a W. Ole Miss is 4-1, and now they go to Tennessee. Go to Neyland, a little Rocky Top, as Tennessee's coming out off of 2 blowout wins over crappy teams. But they won, and this game's got a little sizzle to it this weekend. So 52-51 with 41 points scored in the fourth quarter. Did everybody have it kind of drawn up like that?
Hope you got the over.
Okay. Yeah, by miles and miles. 41 points scored in the fourth quarter. What does that say about those two defenses in college football? What does it say about the two offenses? You know, we know Corral is incredible. Blake, have you heard from any Boomer Sooner fans on my timeline after Tom Luganbill said that Spencer Rattler is not in Matt Corral's league?
Talking about the guy who got benched this Saturday?
Exactly. And I don't wish any ill will towards the young man or any of these players for that matter. But
you are a hater, but
Boomer Sooner fans were all over our timeline when Luganbill dropped that nugget that Spencer Rattler was not in Matt Corral's league.
Yeah, he proved that over the course of the first 6 weeks.
Oh man!
Even if you're not pro
gosh.
Matt Corral, you can no longer be pro Spencer Rattler.
Right.
Even if you're not pro Matt Corral.
And you know, that one tweet that we threw out had that one tweet that Blake posted after Tom Luganbill said that. To date, it has done 460,000 impressions and over 10,000 total engagements. That one tweet since Luganbill said that. So Corral has a big day. Snoop looked great. Henry Parrish looked great. Ely was out. They didn't miss a beat. You know, rushed for 324.
Maybe when they bring him back, they should put him on defense.
So you're now lobbying for Ely at safety? Should John Rice Plumlee and Ely, as athletic as they are, go to? I mean, could it get any worse?
See, I was about to say, let me ask you a serious question. Would John Rice Plumlee probably not make that defense better?
Well, wowzers. John Rice Plumlee had one carry for 4 yards and 2 catches for 32.
I know.
But anyway,
I laughed when I saw them trying to get him the football early in the first quarter. I was like, man, would Lane listen into the show?
Well, yeah. We have enough Ole Miss.edus on the stream thing when they pull it.
That is a fact.
Hey, KJ Jefferson. So Corral was great. I mean, they're just, you go up and down here. Parrish, Connor, Sanders, Drummond. The list, that's without Mingo and Ely. They didn't miss a beat on the offensive side of the football. Obviously, Lane called a heck of a game. They got revenge on Barry Odom, the outstanding defensive coordinator. They could not figure out what to do with Ole Miss running the football, and they really ran it to the right side and just kind of telegraphed what they were going to do. And I'm not a DC, but I mean that whole the color analyst was talking about it. He was like, dude, they're doing the same thing as far as running the football over and over and over again for 6 to 9 yards a carry. So that was deflating for Arkansas. Now, the flip side, and we'll get into Bama here in just a second. I see your text. KJ Jefferson reminds me of Chris Relf. He's, obviously he's a big kid. He's trying to figure out what he's doing. He really doesn't know what he's doing right now. He played well. I mean, he threw for 326 and he ran for another 85. He doesn't take the right angles running the football, and he doesn't run the zone read at the level that Chris Relf ran it, but he's a better passer at his age, thrower of the football, than Chris Relf. It will be interesting to see what he becomes, because if Kendall Browse leaves at the end of the year, who will be the next guy to coach him and develop him? I mean, it's all about that. Right? If Chris Relf doesn't have Dan Mullen, then Chris Relf never sees the field, and he ends up transferring to, Jackson State or something like that. So it is all about who's around you. Just something to keep an eye on. Arkansas moved it. You could tell that Ole Miss was better. We're live in the BankPlus Studio. Bama loses to Texas A&M. Everybody called that, right, Blake? And then Ed Orgeron is done. Not officially at LSU, but it is over. They got smoked by Kentucky. Not in basketball, in football. Big Board coming up next on 105.9.
The Out of Bounds Show podcast is powered by Breezy Oaks Ranch. For Mississippi-raised premium Wagyu beef and heritage pork shipped straight to your door, visit breezyoaksranch.com.
What's on the big board?
So I love hearing, how did this happen? How did Bama lose at Texas A&M? Good morning. Welcome in on a Max Effort Monday. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're powered by Independent Roofing Systems. Independent Roofing, the number one commercial roofing company in the state of Mississippi. How does this happen? Well, sometimes upsets, fluke things. I mean, does this mean that Calzada's going to play that way every week for A&M? No. I mean, Ed Orgeron found a recipe to go 15-0, but he's 39-41 outside of that season. So what are you? Zach Calzada, the quarterback for A&M, just played a magnificent game under an enormous amount of adversity and pressure. That's pretty cool. A&M ran the football at will until Spiller got nicked up, Blake.
In the fourth quarter, yeah.
Their D did some things that you just got to do this day and age, right? It's all situational.
And Alabama made mistakes. That's the biggest key.
The miscues.
Exactly. When have we seen an Alabama team create their own problems? That was the biggest takeaway I took out of that game.
And it
Saturday.
still took A&M. Think about this.
It took everything they had and then some.
It's kind of like Clemson years ago when Deshaun won. It's kind of like when Ole Miss was up and Bama came roaring back. Auburn can't ever put them away, but has a couple of times. I guess Gus beat them 3 times or something. Man, it still takes all of that, and then A&M marching down the field to kick a game-winning field goal with no time on the clock.
Yeah. And that's with Alabama shooting themselves in the foot 10 times. Yeah.
Right.
It took every bit of 60 minutes.
And that's why Alabama's margin for error is as thick as, 10 dictionary books in 1984. And yours and my team and your team and your team, it's just razor thin. But A&M did it. Credit to Jimbo, 200-page playbook Fisher. He got his signature win in year 4. In year 4, after they started off 0-2 in conference play, had just been dominated by Mississippi. I thought Mississippi State could have won that game by another 10 to 13 points the Saturday before. And yet, what'd they do? Now, what did we say what did I say last week, Blake? I said Alabama's not special. They don't look special on either side of the ball, and they don't have those special players.
That's correct.
Derrick Henry, Judy, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, we could go on and on. Amari Cooper, all these wonderful, amazing, talented players that can get you out of a jam because Bama's not going to bring their A game, much less their B game every week. 18 to 22-year-olds are not going to do it. A&M brought their A game. You're only going to get 1-2 A games a year in high school, college, NFL. And then you want to try to get a bunch of B's.
This was just like
stay away from the D's.
That's what I was about. This was the first time we've seen Alabama, it feels like in 3 or 4 years, put up a pure D- F grade, right? That's we've seen State, Ole Miss, we've seen F's from those schools.
Georgia,
A&M, even Florida,
at home, losing to South Carolina.
Florida's performance against Kentucky.
Yeah.
Not to take away from Kentucky, they're playing much better, but that was a bad performance by Florida. We've seen that plenty of times.
Yeah,
the whole history, 120 years of Vanderbilt football, but the fact that A&M not only took advantage of Alabama's miscues, but that Alabama didn't have a playmaker that could take the game over. You know what this reminded me of? This reminded me of watching a basketball game, a basketball team without an identity. In basketball, one player could take the game over, score 10 points in the span of 4 minutes,
Yeah.
totally flip the game. And if your offense is struggling, you can hand it to this guy and say, go make something
Well, they
happen.
don't have that guy.
Exactly. Not a receiver, not a tight end, not a
or
running
not
back.
Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts had the ability to not just hurt you through the air, but hurt you with his legs. Okay? And so even Jacob Coker was super athletic, freak athlete down in Mobile. Even though he's not he's not an NFL QB. He may not have been a great college quarterback, but he could hurt you with both his arm and his legs. Bryce Young, they don't want him getting tattooed.
Nope.
At 200 pounds. I don't even know if he weighs 200. Because if Matt Corral weighs 200, then Bryce Young may weigh like 190. But the point is, and where Blake is going, is they didn't have the guy that could bail them out like Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy. And
Or the way
Devontae.
Calvin Ridley was open. Anytime
All
you
the
needed
time.
anytime you needed a 3rd and 13, Calvin Ridley was open 25 yards down the field.
And then he would run it another. So it would flip into this 43-yard play. And then you could exhale on the Alabama offense. Or Derrick Henry could take a pitch and rip 22 yards on you.
Yeah.
Just threw 3 linebackers and put a safety literally into the ground.
Yep.
You don't have that guy. I mean, Derrick Henry could break 4 tackles, Blake, all of a sudden be 32 yards down the field.
Yeah, there is not a Michael Jordan-esque player, someone who just says, I'll take the ball, I'll fix what issues we have right now.
And as you and I discussed, they may have that guy, but he's not that guy yet.
He's not performing that way.
Okay? I understand they sign all these amazing players and they have very talented kids, but kudos. Hey, Jimbo Fisher got this W 4 years in. Do I think A&M is all this? No. But I was talking to friends like y'all do throughout the weekend, and I still don't believe Georgia is that special. I mean, their defensive unit is nasty and good, but I thought Bo Nix put the ball right in receivers' hands several times Saturday that could have got, started some things moving down the field. And they just weren't going to catch, the football. Georgia's good. Stetson Bennett IV is better than I thought. I know. We've had fun with him the last year and a half. It's still amazing that he's playing. More power to the kid. He's going to sell so much Farm Bureau insurance in his life in a suburb in Atlanta, or go to Northwestern Mutual and write so much business.
Shoots.
I mean, he's going to sell so many, American B funds and so on. He's not going to know what to do with whatever. He is going, his book of business by the time he's about 28 is just going to be through the roof. Stetson Bennett IV will be able to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and be at the country club by Thursday morning,
Dude,
and make $1.8 million a year.
Zach Calzada might be right there with him at this point.
Oh,
Off one game.
He'll be able. What kind of NIL deal will Zach Calzada? That's a name. Zach Calzada get yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the 6. No, it's more than that. The 24 Ram truck dealerships in the Houston metro area said, Zach, we're going to send you a truck.
Yep.
I need you to lay down some tracks. Talk about how the Zach Calzada show is driven by your next Ram truck.
How you got to the stadium that day to beat Alabama in your Ram truck. I mean, for real though, dude. You're going to be able to live off that one. And Jimbo,
okay.
Don't get it twisted. Jimbo's going to live off that too.
Musicians, actors, business. A lot of businessmen for 45 years have a very nice career. They get one lick.
Yeah.
They can live off of it. Good for them. It's all good, man.
Yeah. No, it's not a bad
You get that one deal where you make, $5.6 million, and then you kind of just make a couple $100,000 a year the rest of the time, and you're kind of good.
The real question is, out of this weekend, what did you actually learn for moving forward? Because it's all.
I just wrote that down.
It's
yesterday.
all well and fun to celebrate Alabama losing, but we've seen this dog and pony show before.
Right.
It doesn't mean they're out of the game.
No, they're still. It's a weird year, but if you press me, I think I'm still going Bama over Georgia. I don't care about the rankings yesterday. They're nonsense. I mean, what a bunch of policy wonks. It's just the same thing as the East and West Coast elites and politics. I mean, these guys have been misleading us since World War II on the AP poll and the coaches poll. But I've got some thoughts on where Blake was going, and I still kind of give the edge to Bama over Georgia as far as the Natty. But we'll see what happens in Atlanta if Bama makes it. Live in the BankPlus Studio. The show is powered by MississippiSportsMedicine.com. It's a Max Effort Monday. The question is, are you locked in? SEC Insider Hit coming up next. The Out of Bounds Show podcast is presented by Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road. Your golf game starts with Edwin Watts Golf Shop.
Come on.
Everyone ready?
This is the SEC Insider Hit. Presented by your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go local. Go with a home team.
What in the world is going on in college football? Goodness gracious. Big win for Ole Miss in a wild, epic game. Wicked performance from my guy, Matt Corral, in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, Oxford, Mississippi, as Ole Miss scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. That's 21. Blakey Blakester, 21. Arkansas scored 20. They scored 41 points in one quarter. What does that tell me? They're awesome on offense and can't stop anybody on defense, neither team. Or this past weekend they couldn't. Maybe Arkansas can stop some other teams that are not as prolific, explosive, and as dangerous as Ole Miss. Corral had a day. Henry Parrish. Snoop Connor. And Sanders was, he only had 2 catches, and he had 2 for 127. Is that incredible or what? And it looked like he got his shoulder knocked out. During the game. And they may have just popped it back in place. So it's not, is it a bad day, Blake, when you average 63 and a half yards per catch?
No, you probably would have liked to have caught 2 more at that average. That would have been nice. Little 220 or something like that. No, you don't see offenses that operate that way usually, where you can have a guy be that explosive throughout a game. But yeah, kudos to the Rebels offense for getting back on track. Got to question if the defense is going to do enough down the stretch to
360 yarders. 360 yarders in the game through the air. That just, again, it allows you to have a crappy defense and still win.
Yeah.
360 yarders through the air, and Snoop went for 51 on the ground in one play, and Henry Parrish went for 33 in one play. So think about those explosive plays.
Should Ole Miss be less explosive because of their defense?
Well, you could argue what like Bartu and the analytics geeks will tell you, that they don't, when they do score, you don't want to not score, but when they score like that, their defense has to go right back out on the field. I get what you're saying. You run the ball and you don't get much, and then all of a sudden you draw up a play where Braylon Sanders is 50 yards down the field and then runs it in the touchdown.
And you got to throw it. I get it, yeah.
You got to score. if they're open, you got to score, da-da-da-da-da. Obviously, Lane Train was a little bit frustrated in the postgame about his defense. I don't know what they can and can't do from here on out. They're going to Knoxville.
I don't know that that's a get-right game. Tennessee's offense has looked good the last 3 weeks.
In the summer, I thought, Ole Miss by 1 million. Now I'm not so sure as the week plays out. Although I do recognize that Tennessee has played 2 super, super, super crappy teams the last 2 weeks. So I don't want to go overboard in the fact that they just blew out 2 teams in the East who could get beat by several junior colleges in the state. So, I got to weigh and balance that as we really get into next weekend. But we'll stay on this weekend for now. It's a Max Effort Monday brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. And hit favorites.com to save. Savings for your family sounds good. Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line is 601-707-3750. That's 707-3750. Thought KJ Jefferson played a good game, too. He's still really raw. It looked like he was just kind of trying to figure things out, and they would gain 6 yards. He doesn't necessarily run the zone read or what Kendall's trying to do to perfection, but he's big, and he's athletic, and he's physical, and he actually made some good throws, too. He was pretty calm in the pocket. Now, granted, the Arkansas offensive line kept him clean, for the most part throughout the day, so he had an opportunity to sit back there for 3 and 4 seconds and throw on the Ole Miss secondary. But it's a big win. Ole Miss, every game is winnable for Ole Miss on the way out. They're 4-1. They could lose a couple of times. They could win out. But this is a heck of a stretch. You get Tennessee, who's got a first-year head coach. You got LSU, who's got a dead man walking. And then you go to Auburn, who knows what Auburn is. Some weeks they look pretty darn good, and other weeks you're like, what are they trying to do? Which may be all of college football. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. But Ole Miss with a big win. Arkansas has given them fits, and it was kind of a redemption game. They only said that 97 times during the telecast.
You could see Lane Kiffin's face, too, in that last drive, how important this game was.
No doubt.
Because they kept, which I loved. I would watch, if there was a station where, you know how they do with the Mannings, they have them on the side. I would watch a broadcast of a game where they just kept a camera on the head coach, right? And so you have the game on the big part of the screen, and on the side, you have like one camera on one head coach and one on the other. Kiffin's mannerisms and his facial expressions for the last drive of that game as Arkansas went down and ultimately scored the touchdown and
went for 2, baby.
Which is the
way,
right call.
I agree with playing an Ole Miss offense on a short field in overtime, knowing that they have the best player in the stadium, is not a recipe to win. Nope. And as you and I discussed before the show, it was the right call from Sam Barbecue and Beer Pittman to go for 2. Now, it was a bad play call by Kendall Briles, but play calling's hard, and Kendall's very, very good at it. And, he just didn't leave his quarterback many options rolling to the right on a short field. And Ole Miss did a good job defending it, got out of this. It doesn't matter. They won. It's a win. It's a huge win. As you said, the look on Kiffin's face,
dude,
we can't lose this game.
I think
it's at home. We're better. We're a touchdown plus favorite. And we got to get out of it. Doesn't matter how it looks. We got to get out of this stadium with a W.
It felt like he was going to fire Durkin if they lost that game. The way his face
actually, that may have happened yesterday. Had that
I'm not
gone the
kidding.
Right way.
If they lose 53-52, I'm seriously considering that I would think we'd be talking about right now, Ole Miss is looking for a new DC.
Arkansas rushed for 350 yards. Ole Miss rushed for 324.
Yeah, it's incredible. 6 yards a carry and 6.5 yards a carry between the two offenses. There was no defense played in Vaught Hemingway Saturday.
Let's switch gears to Alabama and A&M. We'll get back into Ole Miss. Tom Luganbill will join us at 8:30. He'll talk Ole Miss Rebels. And we'll hit we'll hit a lot of the SEC. We'll hit Bama and Ole Miss and A&M, and got an interesting game on the road. That could be the game of the week, believe it or not. I know people will be talking about Kentucky at Georgia until Kentucky gets blown out. But game of the week could be Ole Miss at Tennessee as far as fireworks and entertaining and so on. Something to keep an eye on. By the way, for all of you Dan Mullen lovers, Florida travels to LSU this weekend, as Ed Orgeron is not going to keep his job, and LSU will be searching for a new head coach along with Southern Cal and what could be some other teams too.
Yeah,
like
certainly looks like Miami's going to be in that hunt.
Yeah. What in the world is going on?
Let's take 5 seconds because Mississippi State plays Kentucky, and LSU and Ole Miss still have to play, and that's actually next week. So not this Saturday, but the coming, so 2 weeks from now. What your thoughts? LSU they didn't get beat, they got dominated, though.
I watched
dominated
almost all that game.
It was almost as bad as the time Joe Moorhead went up there and got dominated by Kentucky.
Wow.
It felt very similar, in all honesty.
Okay.
Thoughts on that? Does that speak to Kentucky or to LSU more?
Well, it speaks. Kudos to Mark Stoops for what he's built in the line of scrimmage at Kentucky and the fact that they're getting better at quarterback and some things that they're doing there. They're a nasty team, physical. That's what he wanted. That's what he has access to. He's gone into the state of Ohio, where his family is from. And after Ohio State takes players and maybe even others, he's been able to identify some really good football players and develop them and all the boring stuff that we talk about. So, but also LSU is a train wreck. Unacceptable the way they're playing, the way they look on offense, the way they look on defense. And that comes from a head coach who actually said out loud 2 years ago, I didn't interview who I hired. That's incredible because the LSU football program is, I don't know what they are, 100 million out of the 100. Maybe they're more than that. I mean, maybe these programs are, maybe the LSU football program's 130, 40 million out of the 150 or 160 that they are. But y'all know where I'm going. This is a $100 million program where he hired basically two COOs of two different divisions, if you will, and he didn't interview them. So that tells me all I need to know. And then he brought in these two new coordinators who have no play calling experience. And LSU got embarrassed. And
they gave up 7.3 yards per carry to Kentucky.
Rodriguez is good. I'm not sure he should be that good against your 4- and 5-star players.
Yeah.
Blake.
Yeah, Chris Rodriguez Jr., who is not even the starting running back technically, by the way. He's the backup running back to Cavassier Smoke. Cavassier Smoke.
Ooh, Cavassier.
Which is a great name. Cavassier Smoke is a fantastic football name. But Chris
After
Rodriguez.
Dinner drink with the Fuente cigar from Havana Smoke Shop?
That's right. It's a bourbon where they smoke the glass, a Cavassier Smoke. Yeah.
Okay.
Chris Rodriguez, 16 carries, 147 yards. That's 9 yards a carry.
Mm.
I mean, LSU got run on like 45 carries for 330 yards against an LSU defense? That's crazy.
Well, what's Ole Miss going to rush for?
As much as they want?
Right. Name the number. So Orgeron is done. They'll work all that out, what they have to pay him or not pay him. I'm sure they'll fight it like crazy. I think Ed's thinking he's got a payday coming.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
May take a lot of, legal eagle work to get that money in that bank account. Somebody threw up a $17 million. I think that was Collada. Collada would know more. We were referencing $21 million. Whatever. It's a lot of money, but it's a drop in the bucket to win in football. I hate to say that. So, I know for some fans, you don't like the fact that big time major college football has created this cycle. But man, if you're running $100-something million company and you need to make money, sometimes I guess you got to flush this thing out and bring in the new crew. And that doesn't count what the new group will, is he able to land Jimbo Fisher? Is he able to land James Franklin? Would Lane Kiffin even be considered? Would Mike Leach be considered? After that, there's just not a lot of like tomahawk, 28-ounce tomahawk medium rare out there. There's not this big group of bright, shiny hires. I mean, unless you could convince Joe Brady to come back into the world of college football, or James Franklin, or Jimbo, those are big names.
Well, and is the best hire someone who's not a quote-unquote big name?
But Scott Woodward has gone after, at A&M, he landed Jimbo Fisher, and nobody cares about basketball, but Buzz Williams from Virginia Tech. At LSU, he's hired, Kim Mulkey, national championship coach in women's hoops. She's Hall of Famer. Jay Johnson at Arizona, big-time college baseball coach. He wants to go big game hunting.
He does.
But there's only so much big game out there. I guess there's only so many, deer that will be killed over the next 3 months that you can really, really, really brag about.
Yeah, true trophy.
Okay. in the state of Mississippi,
Well,
in the Mississippi Delta or down in Port Gibson.
Who's
I'm
the-
talking about 0.001%. So there's only so much big game out there. Does he go the Southern Cal model? Because LSU is much like a pro team. And I could see us trending this way in the next 5 to 10 years because LSU recruits itself. And could you go get a big-time offensive coordinator and pay him $6 million? He's making $2 million for the Bills or the Chiefs or the Chargers or these fun teams that we're watching. Kellen Moore. I mean, do you go get Dallas Cowboys OC Kellen Moore? He's young, although he hasn't won at the level that some of the other teams that I just referenced. So what direction do you go if you're LSU? And if you're going to go with the big name and win the press conference, which doesn't always mean a thing.
Nope.
There's really not a big plot of land to hunt from to go get that guy.
And what's truly big game, because like we've been talking about, I'll stand by this one.
Dan Mullen?
Well, and Jimbo Fisher beating
I'm kidding.
Saban this past weekend doesn't make me want him as my head coach.
No,
personally.
No.
Now that might be enough for Scott Woodward and all them to just go on and do what. But like, if I'm looking at it, I'd rather bag Lane Kiffin than I would rather bag Jimbo Fisher. But right now, Jimbo might be the quote-unquote bigger game.
Oh, because he beat Bama.
And he has the title from 8 years ago.
The love affair that was there will now, basically
quadruple.
It'll be thrown in our face, okay, that he's this, and this, when really at the end of the day, some teams just play well. Some teams play well, get a little lucky, and beat Bama and Saban. It's not who you are week to week. And I think we struggle with that.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Correct.
Well, this happened last week, so this is who A&M is the next 6 weeks. Not the case.
I mean, look at Arkansas and Ole Miss putting up 105 points after they combined put up 21 the week before, right? I mean, it is what it is.
Big game. We're going to go to the Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line, 601-707-3750. Ole Miss with the win, A&M with the win. Georgia goes to Auburn and wins, and Kentucky just boat raced the LSU Tigers. Want to say good morning, welcome in on a Max Effort Monday. RRB, I've got a second here. What's up?
Good morning.
Hey, man.
A win's a win, especially in the SEC West. Is it nearing time for the jury to cast judgment on this 3-2-6 defensive scheme? Both teams run the same scheme Saturday. Neither one of them could slow Georgia. Arkansas couldn't slow Georgia with it. Ole Miss couldn't slow Bama with it. And, hell, they couldn't even slow each other with it. So, I mean, is it a scheme? Is it the scheme? Because, I mean, look, neither team was getting any pressure in the backfield. And I just, you got to have some very talented defensive linemen if you're only going to rush 30 the whole game. I'm out.
Okay, buddy. Thanks for the call, RRB, on the Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line, 601-707-3750. All right, let's do a deep dive real quick on that. 3-2-6 scheme. And there's a lot of movement in these schematically and what all is going on. Can it work? Does it work? Is it the way to play today with the way the offenses are run? Well, first of all, could you go back and just say, is it the way the game is played today? I mean, is it the way that teams practice? This is not a shot. Is it the way teams practice in high school and college? I mean, you're not practicing ones-on-ones as much. You're not going full speed as much. You're not tackling as much. We're trying in a modern-day gladiator sport, physicality and brutality, wins. We're trying to keep the kids out of shells and helmets as much as we can. When I was playing and others were playing, all you did was Oklahoma, bull in the ring, and tackling drills forever and ever. Today, not so much. You're seeing it. The high school teams that can put pressure on you and spread you out, they can't tackle you. Tackling in space is what, Blake? 1A, the hardest thing to do in the sport outside of the quarterback position?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Tackling in space, I don't know where this guy's going. I don't know what route he's running. I mean, I think I may have an idea from what my defensive coordinator's telling me.
Also, you now can't hit him above the shoulders and you can't hit him below the knees.
Right. So you're thinking about 19 different things, plus I'm running with a guy who's, I don't care what level, high school, whatever speed that is, junior college. So I think we could take all of the variables and when you look at the factors in play, I don't know. I mean, does that mean we need to go to a 5-2 defense? Well, that's not going to work. I mean, that's what a lot of us grew up playing because the thing was played in a phone booth.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say. And offense is more fun and exciting to play. But, the tackling and point of contact and getting a dude down to the ground, what would you say, Blake? They've cut back 70% in practice?
Yeah, maybe more than that.
Maybe 80?
Once the season, I'll tell you from the NFL perspective, once the season starts, you don't touch each other, basically.
Well, and I don't blame high school. Like, if you're in high school right now, I'm not, changing. This is a battle of attrition, Blake. You're trying to get to the playoffs with as many healthy guys as you can get. If you're in college, look, did you see the guys dropping in the Ole Miss Arkansas game
crazy.
and the Bama A&M game? All right, so guys are dropping like flies. I mean, it's just left and right. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know this. The answer isn't to go out there for 3 hours and hit each other because I'm trying to get as many bodies as I can going the right way for this stretch run to either win a high school state championship, to maybe go to a New Year's Six bowl game like if I'm Ole Miss, or if I'm in the NFL, to punch my ticket to January in the playoffs.
Yep. It's very simple, and you see it in the NFL all the time. You are who you are, and you've got to be like, there's a little bit of an onus on you have to take the thoughts that they're giving you, the skill that they're teaching you, and then put it into practice in the game, because you don't get to put it in practice, right, so to speak.
And guys like to hit instead of go in and wrap up, and that's just the way the game's gone. They like to throw their shoulder into a guy, and a lot of times that doesn't do it. We'll go to the Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line. We'll welcome in Jim. Jim, good morning. What's up?
How's it going this morning?
Hey, doing well.
Yeah, Blake. I'm an Alabama fan, but
Roll Tide.
How that goes. I heard Nick Saban tell his team, how the loss was, and y'all remember this and think about this. It don't feel good. Sometimes during the course of the season, a loss can be a good loss. Sometimes a loss can be a good loss.
Sure.
Put you back in focus. And I think Alabama had gotten up really for Ole Miss and overlooked Texas A&M. Texas A&M got beat by Mississippi State, and Ole Miss was supposed to be the big game last week, and I think they had a letdown this week. So I look for Alabama to be more focused and more hungry than they've ever been this whole season. So,
well, I don't want to hear that, Jim. They're playing Mississippi State this weekend.
I know
Come
that,
on, man.
But this is a bad time for Mississippi State to have to come in, something like that.
All right, thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate you listening to the show. We want to welcome everybody in on a Max Effort Monday. Max Effort Monday, powered by Farm Bureau Insurance and favorites.com. Bundle your auto and home. Save with the great group that will take care of your family, your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. 2 good calls there. Thank you for getting on and off. I like that. Come in, tell me what you want in 10 seconds or less, and we'll keep moving. That number is 601-707-3750. It's brought to you by our friends at Farm Bureau Insurance. We're live in the BankPlus Studio. Tom Luganville on the Rebels. Roll Tide, Aggies, and LSU at 8:30. He'll join us on the Modelo guest line.